Our gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with us tonight as we conduct the business of the city of Westmoreland. We ask you to direct the council people in all their endeavors as they strive to make the future of Westmoreland a better place to live. We ask you to be with our police officers, our fire people, and all our EMS officials. We ask you, Lord, to bless our soldiers that are on foreign soils and here at home, and just bless Westmoreland. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody in here. Oh, you got cold off fast. It's cold out there.
Whenever you're ready to call the roll.
Mayor Kirkman,
Here.
council members Klein,
Present.
Harrison,
Present.
and Smalling.
Here.
Having established a roll call, we do have a quorum, so we will proceed with the meeting. We'll adopt agenda the first thing. Is everyone would like to look at that?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to adopt the agenda as it is. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Let the record show that it passed unanimously. We've had no one to sign up for public comments, so we will move on to the next item, the minutes from the April 16th, 2015 meeting.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes, April 16th meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the minutes of April 16th, 2015. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show that it passed unanimously. We'll go to the financial statement now. We'll ask if anyone has any questions, if Ms. Freda has anything she wants to say about it. We're starting to get very far down in our financial year, so
Motion to approve.
we have a motion to approve the financial statement.
Second.
We have a proper second. Any discussion? Hearing none, you can call for roll call vote for that.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smalling,
Yes.
and Klein.
Yes.
3 yes.
Let the record show that it has passed unanimously. Under old business, we have 2 council seats that are vacant, and I move that we fill both seats. You can make the decision of the charter doesn't stipulate if you do them both at one time or if you do them one each.
Mayor, I've got a question.
Sure.
I know as I was working for the newspaper, I saw vacancies filled a couple of times by Mayor Woodard, and then I saw Mayor Templeton and what time she served, and Mayor Carter. In the past, the mayor has made a recommendation of who they thought, and then the council either said yes or no.
Okay.
I just wondered, I'm sure you have thought over this long and hard. I'm just wondering, do you have 2 that you would recommend, or would you rather us go through the process?
I prefer at this point, because there are only 3 council people available, and you will be the ones that are voting on it and representing the citizens of Westmoreland, that you do the vote, because this actually has the effect of an election in Westmoreland. And when the candidates take their seat tonight, they will fill the seat as if they were elected by the citizens of Westmoreland. So they'll come right in with full powers, and we will take it from there. If you should deadlock on something, then I will make a recommendation.
Okay. I'll make a motion that I'll nominate, I guess, or
Nominate.
I'll nominate David Lee.
Okay, we have a nomination for David Leaf. Any further nominations?
So are we filling both seats with
That's
one vote?
up to y'all. If you want to do both seats at one time, or if you want to do each seat individually.
I spoke with John Bradley about it because the charter's not very clear, or doesn't, it specifically does not tell us how to do it. It can be any way we want to do it. We can do it 1 at a time. We can do it 2 at a time. We can nominate 1 at a time. We can nominate 2 at a time. As long as we do it. Doesn't matter how we do it. We can draw names out of a hat if we had to. And it'd still be illegal. So I mean, you just made a motion for a nomination.
Well, I made a nomination of David Lee, so I guess we would vote. If no other nominations are put forth at this time, I guess we'll do 1 at a time.
Is that how y'all want to do it?
It don't matter to me.
Okay. We have a nomination for David Leaf to fill one of the seats on the council. Any discussion? Let's vote, roll call vote.
Smalling,
No.
Klein,
Yes.
and Harrison.
Yes.
2 yes, 1 no.
Okay. Mr. Leaf, you will be filling one of his seats. Okay. I'll now accept nominations for the second seat.
I make a motion that we nominate Caleb for the second seat.
Does it have to be in form of a motion? Can't you just nominate?
Either way.
Okay, we have a nomination for Caleb Savicki for the second council seat. Any other nominations?
Nominate Marty Cotton.
Okay, we have a nomination for Marty Cothran. Okay. Anyone else? We still have several candidates available. Okay, hearing none. Do you want to vote on each of them, or do you want? Well, we'll do that. Any discussion on Caleb? We'll vote on him first. Okay. Whenever you're ready, Miss Fred.
Klein,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
and Smalling.
Yes.
3 yes.
3 yes. Okay, I guess that fills our second seat then. 3 yes are unanimous. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. Favicki, congratulations to you. If you and Mr. Leaf would like to come forward, we'll have a swearing-in ceremony for you and you'll take your seat.
You
You want to do it?
You want me to do it, sure.
It doesn't matter if you want me to do it.
S-A-W-I-C-K.
Aye.
I. Okay, that's
We'll do these one at a time, and that way, something official. Okay. Repeat after me, please, and fill in your name. I
I, David Lee,
do hereby affirm
do hereby affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the state of Tennessee,
the state of Tennessee,
and the charter
and the charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Westmoreland, Tennessee.
of the city of Westmoreland, Tennessee.
And I say on my oath
And I say on my oath
that I will demean myself
that I will demean myself
in my official capacity
in my official capacity
as city alderman
as city alderman
faithfully,
faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and with due regard
and with due regard
to the welfare
to the welfare
of the city of Westmoreland,
of the city of Westmoreland
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I
I, Caleb Savitsky,
do hereby affirm
do hereby affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the state of Tennessee,
the state of Tennessee,
the charter
the charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the city of Westmoreland, Tennessee,
of the city of Westmoreland, Tennessee,
and I say on my oath
and I say on my oath
that I will demean myself
that I will demean myself
in my official capacity
in my official capacity
as city alderman
as city alderman,
faithfully,
faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and with due regard
and with due regard
to the welfare
to the welfare
of the city of Westmoreland,
of the city of
to
Westmoreland,
the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
What if I need your signature right here? Okay, yours. Right here. That's yours. There's the council papers that are wrong tonight. Congratulations. I'll give you one, make a copy if you want a copy of it.
And one of you has to slip around here on the corner and one on the end.
All right, no difference to me.
Pick a cone and grab it. Don't get close to me, I'm the target.
Do what?
I'm the target.
That's all right.
He said it, I didn't.
He already knows.
It was noted that I forgot to ask them to raise their right hand, so if everybody's okay with that, I'm okay with it.
We gotta vote again. We gotta vote again. No.
Okay. The next items on the agenda are hiring a public works general laborer, a sanitation driver, a part-time sanitation worker. I spoke with our attorney, and he advised me that it was very late in our budget year to be putting new people on under this budget. So if it's all right with the council, we're going to put that off or postpone it until July. There's no city services that is being hindered by it at this point. So I think Adam was going to make that recommendation also because he hadn't had an opportunity to interview, and it just worked better for everybody all the way around.
I'll make a motion, we put off the hiring of the 3 public works employees till July.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to postpone the hiring of the 3 individuals until after the budget goes into effect, which will be in July. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Klein,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smallman,
Yes.
Zawisky,
Yes.
I'll tell her.
Saul Vitz.
Stahl,
Vitz, Key.
Caleb.
Caleb.
There we go. You got it. That's an easier way of doing it.
Well, I can't say David.
Say Lee
Lee.
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, let the record show the motion carries.
I may y'all Freeman and
You'll be
Farley
all
for a
right.
while, so just bear with me.
And I just realized when I asked her for a roll call vote that she doesn't have it all written in on the record, so I apologize, Ms. Frida. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the purchase of the 2 isolation meters.
Adam.
I'll give y'all the prices of the work study, I think, didn't I?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's up to y'all if y'all wanna do that now or wait till after budget on that too. I mean, it's not something that's pressing, but we do need them, you know, it's not nothing that's gotta be done.
It's still
we can.
is the money still there to purchase them in this year's budget?
It's about 10,000,
10,000
Yeah.
for both of them.
yeah, for both of them.
It'd be better this year than it will be next year.
How long will it take to put them in place?
We can get them probably within, it'd probably take 2 or 3 weeks to get them, and then I'm gonna say it'd take us, depending on how busy we get, you know, 2 or 3 weeks to get them in probably. And if I order them now, he'll have them in within.
When you get them put in, how long does it start for them to start paying for themselves? I mean, you'll start using them immediately,
The
of course.
first leak
but-
that they have out that way, they'll pay for themselves probably.
Okay, I make a motion, we purchase the 2 isolation meters now instead of in the new budget.
Second.
We have a motion and a proper second to purchase the 2 isolation meters. Any discussion?
For the new people, Adam, you can explain where these are going.
One will go on Coletown Road, and then the other one will go out New 31, right past Pleasant Grove. And they're gonna put one on Pleasant Grove Road in that grant package. When they run it out there, they're gonna put that in there.
Okay.
So we're gonna actually have that new one too.
Okay, great.
This just helps us find leaks faster, where if you got a leak, say out Coletown, if we look for it for 2 weeks, you know, we may go through 500,000 gallons in 2 or 3 weeks, you know, before we find it, so. It just helps us pinpoint them a whole lot faster.
Is there one already in place that's going out toward Fairfield turn station
Yes,
out that area?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and when they do Herschel Live, that's gonna open that up a whole lot more out there too, but, I mean, I don't see that there's a big need for one out there with that line being new, and, I mean, like I said, I don't see that being a need out there at this point in time.
Well, I think it'll pay for itself very quickly, and that was actually one of the things that I put into our plan with the state.
Yeah.
That was going to be happening pending a vote.
Yeah.
So, very good.
Also, Dan Weaver, the fellow that's been doing our leak detection, he's recommended those isolation meters for 2 years that I know of. So he highly recommends it.
I think it'd be a very good investment. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll do a vote, please.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smallin,
Yes.
Caleb,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
and Klein.
Yes.
5 yes. I get used to it, I'll call you my boss.
So you don't go and practice.
It's all right. Let the record show that the motion carries unanimously. Okay, Adam, Saddle Club rental.
Yeah, I got a hold of the president of the Saddle Club. Me and him sat down and figured up how much money we had spent out of our own saddle club budget in the last 2 years out there. And we spent about $21,200 out of our own budget to build stuff out there on the city. I mean, it's not been, I mean, it's benefiting us, but we're building on the city's property. You know, it's just making the property worth more. So we would kind of like to have the rent put back down to where it was at, which was just $1 a year, and see if maybe we couldn't let me send Hammer out there to bush hog one time a month instead of us having to do it with our own tractors and our own equipment. That's why we do it now. I'll take my tractor out there and bush hog, or one of the other guys take their tractor and bush hog it. And I'd kind of like to get it to where,
Because you said a lot of the area that they're having to bush hog is the area that we're
We dump the
using
sludge.
anyway to dump sludge.
yeah, the backfield back there is where we dump sludge at, and I mean, we have to bush hog it anyway, you know, so it wouldn't be.
Ms. Frida, is there a document or a lease that's in this agreement for them? Or was it just done by council's motion?
Do what now?
The rental agreement, was it done in a document?
Yes,
Or
it was.
It was,
Uh-huh.
not just a council's motion? So if we did it some other way, we'd have to redo that document unless we just let you pay it and reimburse you. So, I talked to Adam before the meeting night, and logistics to me don't make sense that they're having to pay and then use their own equipment to mow their property when the ball fields are mowed by the city and they don't have to pay, even though they do the same type of thing. They keep it up and then they maintain it themselves, but we still mow it. So I didn't understand the reasoning behind the $100 a year fee in the first place. So I'm gonna make a motion that we reimburse them for their. And what I understand is they've paid their first $500 for the first 5 years ahead of time. That we reimburse them the $500. That's my motion.
Second.
The agreement will stay the same, but we have to renew the agreement.
That's fine.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of people into Westmoreland. I mean, a lot of it's kind of a hidden thing. A lot of people don't know how big a crowd it is. But we got a show Saturday out there. It's got $2,500 added in it. There'll be probably 400 or 500 people out there Saturday.
Well, this restaurant over here, when y'all having that, it's full.
Yeah.
You can't get in.
Yeah,
That was Turning Point at Sunrise that
yeah,
donated that. Okay.
they donated half the
Yeah.
money on that too. We put up half of it, and then they put up half of it.
So I don't know, you put up half, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we always put up we always do this show every year, and we always put up about anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500. But they put in half too, so let's bump it up. That'll bring in a whole lot more people.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion now that we have it in the discussion mode?
Y'all paid 5 years in advance.
Yeah.
Okay, you made the motion that we reimburse them the $500, but they need to, if they wanna pay 5 years in advance, they need to pay. We need to make sure that we get, for the record, $5 paid back once we
Right.
reimburse you.
Right. That'd be fine.
And then you're 5 years in the good.
Yeah.
I know that's nitpicky,
Yeah.
But
You have to do it. Yeah.
but we have to
Yeah,
do
I
it.
understand.
That's why I asked if there was a documentation on
Yeah.
it, so we're just, yeah.
just to cover all of the bases.
Right. Right.
I never was in favor of the raise, but for some reason.
Well,
were
we have to pay. I
told-
mean, we have to pay like $1,200 a year insurance out there too,
Yeah,
on it and stuff. But we don't care to do whatever we got to do.
Yeah.
But
What part of the budget do you want that to come back out of? Wherever it went in?
Well, if the money's in there where it went in, I don't think it's in there, is it? Because that's
It went in about 2 years ago, I think it was.
so it just
Okay.
have to come out of the general fund, won't it? Yeah, I guess you need to know where it comes out of, so yeah, out of the general fund would be fine.
That section that's under the budget for donations, has that already been used? Something it had.
I'll look and I'll take it at someplace that we can.
Okay. We can go through it if we need to. Okay, we have a motion, second, and it's been discussed.
Give it up.
Roll call vote.
Smalling,
Yes.
Caleb,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
and Harrison.
Yes.
5 yes.
I appreciate that. They'll like to hear that.
Let the record
That was all for
reflect
you.
it's passed
Matt,
unanimously. Okay, if you would like to talk to Hammer and see what kind of price he would charge to do that, and we'll check into it and consider it.
I wouldn't be a price. I mean, he could just go out there and mow it one day.
When he's mowing.
Yeah, when he's mowing. He's got, because he has
He's
to
got
push
to
out
go-
that backfield
yeah.
for the sludge anyway, and it wouldn't take him a half a day just to
Finish the rest.
finish the rest
Just
of
another
it.
half day of his
Yeah.
work day.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
He's already there anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree, we're already paying to have.
He's on hire, right?
Yeah, he's on there, yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I won't see him out about once a month or something, you know, just
Okay.
enough to keep it knocked down. It won't-
Okay. Let's see, Saddle Club rental, okay. I guess that's it for right now, Bill. We'll call you back in a minute.
Appreciate it.
Propane invoices for the Industrial Development Board.
How much was it?
That's Andy. Give him time to get up.
Yep. It's roughly $6,000.
62, Miss Frida's got it. 63, 21, 73.
I think the council knows what the situation is that the Industrial Development Board is facing out there. We're going to be having lots of discussions about that now that we have a full council, and it's going to be, there's a meeting, the 27th. So I'm sure that there'll be lots of things brought to light at that time. I know that if we continue in the realm of operation that we are right now, we're going to have to sit down and some decisions, some serious considerations and decisions will have to be made. So I'll give you back the floor now. Sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to.
you're fine. It's pretty cut and dry. 63, 21, 73, we already talked to Mr. Taylor. He knows this vote's happening tonight, so we know he's gonna waive the late fees. Any kind of interest, just pay the principal. But we have to do this now, because once it gets turned over to corporate, it's out of his hands.
This isn't a $500 vote. My question to Ms. Frida is, where would the money for this be coming out
Yeah,
of?
that's what
We'd have to get it out of general fund, the public buildings, utilities will just be over, and that would be part of our budget amendment next month, when we have to do a budget amendment anyway.
Okay.
It would be under Fund 41,200, line item 240. Public buildings under the utility line item. Be your fourth page in your budget, in your financial statement. We're already over 2,000 and over budget 2,000, so that is what it's for, utilities, and it's for a public building.
That'll put us over about 5,000 or 6,000.
Just over about 8,000.
About 8,000.
And you still got two months left.
It's gonna have to be amended anyway.
Yeah. I make a motion, we pay it. We ain't got no choice, we gotta pay it.
I second that motion.
Oh, you have a choice.
No, we don't. We gotta go to sleep tonight.
We have the money in the bank to do it,
Yeah.
just the
Yeah, I know.
budget line item will be over.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to pay the gas bill for the Industrial Development Board at the Expo Center. Any discussion?
Is there gas in the propane tank at the moment at all?
Zero.
Okay. So, but we're not gonna need it for a few more months anyway.
That's correct, but what we need to do now, though, is, well, after this motion, we can discuss that in my report.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Frida?
Caleb,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
and Smallman.
Yes.
5 yes.
Let the record reflect that it's a unanimous vote and the motion is passed.
Would you
So-
mind if I give my reports now, if we get on, or can we get off?
Uh,
If you don't, I'll wait.
Mark ain't here.
Okay, let's see.
I didn't see that. I didn't remember what's on the agenda next.
I'm sorry.
Mark twice, the mayor twice, and you.
Okay, we can put mine down at the bottom, so, yes, go ahead.
I'll make it short. You're right, Brian, to get back on the propane. If we purchase in the summertime, it's cheaper. And Mo said he could send a truck up here and fill it up. So if we're gonna think ahead, get a cheaper price, but, you know, we don't have the money to purchase it up front. It'd be more out of the city. And as to what the mayor was alluding to a minute ago, it's imperative that this body let the industrial board know whether or not you're gonna fund the expo center. Jan is right, everybody else is right. She can't get promoters, we can't get promoters, the people that are interested in events when it's up in the air. And you know my personal feelings, but beside that aside, we've been tasked with managing the expo property, and for the last 3 years that I've done the finances or went back and looked at them, it has been in the hole. And with that being said, the only other source of revenue is this body, our city. So you guys have to make the decision whether or not you're gonna fund us. If you're not gonna fund us, it cannot stay an expo center unless we find another source of revenue, which they're just not readily available. You can go back, or I can give you that information as to how much it's gonna take, but just to keep status quo right now, no improvements, paying the bare bones minimum, you're gonna have to look at increasing the line item budget at least another 20 to 30,000 a year. If we do the improvements, you're gonna have to look at increasing that line item budget for what we need, at least for the first year or two, possibly upwards of $80,000. That's an increase. So those are some serious decisions that you all are gonna have to tell us, because the events are not paying for it, the industrial board doesn't have any other source of revenue, that's our only property we own, and it's just right, that's the facts. And if you're not gonna fund it, then it leaves us with very other little options. We have had a few calls this week as people interested in it, not for events, but for other stuff. And possibly might get someone else in the back building, 9,000 square foot, but they're needing climate control, and it doesn't have climate control. Another gentleman looked at it this week, the 30,000 feet, but it's not, may not work out. You know how good that's gonna turn out. But people are calling, they're interested, and, you know, we're still stuck in limbo. And we've gotta get this issue put to bed. It's taking too much resources, it's taking too much of our time, and also in this report, Jan did resign, I guess, indefinitely last Friday. So now we're without that expense, but we're also without that person to be on the phone and emails and everything else. But in her defense, the issue's gotta be decided whether or not it's gonna be an expo center. And if it's all on the industrial board, it can't be an expo center because we can't pay for it. So the funding's gonna have to come from the city. I know that people have said that was always meant to be that way, but you guys have seen the budget, it wasn't set up that way if that's what it was meant. But things can be changed. If you so choose to fund the expo center, then that could be added into the line item budget. And it's gonna take at least another $20,000 just for us to continue down the same path we've been on the last 2 years. And even more to make some improvements to the facilities and pay someone a decent salary to promote. So I know we'll probably discuss some of this stuff next Wednesday night, but it's gotta deal with it sooner than later.
Well, you brought up Wednesday night. My thoughts is, the chambers had meetings about the expo center. The IDBs had meetings about the expo center. And now this being in a joint meeting with all three is the public's opportunity to come to the council so we can decide what we've got to do. Because we've got to figure out a budget. And y'all have seen the preliminary numbers. There's no way to do it without a tax increase, in my view. But at that meeting will be where we will need to get the information from the public, and the public will have to come and express their concerns about what they wish for it to be before we can make that decision. And the time that needs to be everything put out on the table. Because we've had little meetings here and little meetings there, but not jointly with anybody. And we had a joint meeting rather hastily when we decided to purchase the building, made some hastily decisions, so I want to have time to be able to make the right decision this time.
And right now, without Jan on the payroll, we're looking at needing $1,000 a month to pay the bills. We've got enough maybe to get through this month, maybe, hopefully.
This month is covered.
This month is
As
covered.
in May, June is not
May is covered, June, July, and August will probably not be covered at all. So we're gonna look for y'all for at least another $3,000 or $4,000 until a decision's made. We're still working with Wolfgang and the Economic Development with Tennessee to get this thing on some of their websites. But until that happens, the industrial board's already voted to do that. But until that happens, we're gonna need to be floated until the mule sales start again, really. I was out there Monday morning. Of course, you know, we've had weather in the 80s. Can't tell that today, but Monday morning at 10 o'clock, it was stuffy in there. So it's gonna be hard to even make it appealing during the summer months for any kind of event. There's no air conditioning. You can turn the fans on, open the doors, but we haven't typically seen a lot of rentals in the summertime in the past 5 years. So what I'm telling you is we'll not have any income coming in other than the $400 from the field, really, till 19th.
I would like to make a comment. In the very beginning, what was said about an expo center was that an expo center at best should break even, but it would never be a huge moneymaker.
Sure.
But it was supposed to at least
Pay the bills.
pay the bills. That the purpose of an expo center was to bring people to town that would spend money elsewhere while they were in town. But it was, and I know I've heard the rumors that it was never supposed to make money. That's one thing, but it was supposed to at least break even or pay the bills.
Right.
And I know it hasn't. So.
And I know people have constantly heard me griping about the money, and I have been because it's such a serious issue. But I've also stated several times publicly that the industrial board's not looking to make money. We're just looking to break even.
Right.
We're not breaking even. We're in the hole every year, and we've sold out of the good stuff out back. There's some scrap left. There's a diesel tank that's in decent shape that might bring some money. But this year we sold in my opinion, the last two big ticket items, which were those rollback dumpsters. And we're out of stuff to sell unless we start tearing it apart. There might be a dumpster or two left, a small one. But scrap's not really worth selling right now. But we have looked into those things. We're fixing to adjust the NCTC bill to knock off some of the phone lines and internet now that Jan's not there, to cut that bill down. Tony negotiated them to hold off on charging us for our security system for the last 3 months, or the next 2 months. So we've worked hard to try to get the expenses down. But the problem is the income. So I believe that's all I can think of right now as it pertains to the industrial.
I do want to say, now, I went to the meeting before this building was purchased, and contrary to what you said, what I was told out there was a different story. We were told that we buy this building, that the mule sales would make enough money to pay the payments on the building. It would cost the city nothing. So everything else was going to be profit. And it's never made the first payment yet.
No, we knew at the very beginning that the contract with the Reese brothers would not even. They were set up. They were the anchor tenant.
Right.
Without them, they said there was no reason to even buy the building to begin with. But all they were was an anchor tenant. If you can think of, I'll use this as a example. Thank you. If you took Rivergate Mall and you had your two huge stores on each end as your anchor tenants, that's great. But they couldn't pay the bills at Rivergate Mall if every other store between those
Right.
two big anchor stores was empty. And that's sort of what we're in the shape of now. We've got an anchor tenant, but the rest of the mall is vacant, and you can't pay bills that way.
And in their defense, the industrial board, when this was first created, was actually charging the vendors themselves. The industrial board was the promoter. They were charging the mule vendors and everybody over there running the concessions, so they had probably had high hopes of making money off of those revenue sources. But we find out we're not supposed to be promoting. We're not supposed to be doing that stuff, and so they quit. So now the vendors is somebody else's responsibility, and so is a concession stand, and we're just getting a flat fee for the rental. So they maybe did think that the mule sales as a whole would help pay for not just the Reese's rental, but also the vendor rentals and the concession stand and everything else they had, the campsites they had, were planning on making money off of. But none of that stuff is really, it's not existent right now.
Right.
Any other questions?
Have the Reese family been invited to the meeting?
I have not invited them to the meeting, no, I think Brian's heading this meeting up.
Okay.
But the Reese brothers, I will let you know, it's not a secret, I had a meeting with Mr. Reese, Dickie, and Rufus, and their son, Rufus' son Richard. I've spoken to them, nothing that's, I'm telling you right now, I've already told them, they know everything.
I'd really like their input on things, because they have half of it leased already, so it's going,
Well, they would like to stay in Westmoreland.
Whoever has the most open door to them, that's certainly not me.
I don't mind giving Dickie a call and asking
Will you
him to come.
invite him to come to me?
Sure.
let them know that they are welcome to come. Appreciate it.
And like I said, they would like to stay in Expo Center. They understand the economics.
They may not understand the city's economic side of it, though.
Well, that's okay, yeah, you may be right. They may not know,
Yeah.
the city may not have enough money to cover it without a tax increase, but they understand the economics of the industrial board right now. They would hate to have to leave Westmoreland, obviously. But they know.
Well, I've gotten lots of calls about the Expo Center, and they have been just about split. Half calls, get rid of it. Half
Oh,
calls,
they love
keep
them.
it as an Expo Center.
And you can't do either one without costing the city a bunch of money.
Yeah.
But I think it is important too, that, and I'm not the type of person to look at somebody and say, you're not from here, I don't want to hear what you got to say, because that's not true. I take people's advice from all over. But I think it is important to consider are those calls taxpayers or are they not taxpayers? Because I know a lot of people have been vocal lately. And I told Miss Ethel, it's different when you're paying the bill, or we're all paying the bill.
That's right.
It's easy for me to look at Gallatin and say, hey, just keep putting money in something, because I'm not paying taxes down there.
Yeah.
So I do think it's important to know what our actually tax base is saying, not just people who pick up the phone, because the presentation that you were all handed at the work session, most of those people on that list don't live in the city. They're not, so, I'm not gonna say they don't care, but it's not on the forefront, it's not on their front burner.
If I'm not mistaken, Ms. Grady can verify this, a 10-cent addition to the tax rate, if we take it from 140 to 150, would be about a $34,000 increase, roughly.
We figured that one time, and I've got it written down, but I don't have it right here with me.
Okay.
I have to do my calculation on the
I was told
total
5
appraisal.
cents gives $17,000, so if,
Is that what we figured
I
that
think
day,
that's
Brian?
right. And I shared that with Andy.
Okay.
Yeah, you
So-
sent me a text, and I'm trying to find that real quick, but what I had figured is whatever we have, an 18% increase is what I had figured. Whatever an 18% increase comes up, that would give us about another $80,000.
And-
to
and
get
that's a big
to get
increase.
to 80,000, you've got to go between about 23 cents, somewhere in that
That's
neighborhood.
right, yeah. So if you do the 10-cent increase is just gonna be enough to keep operating that status quo. And if you really wanna give this thing a go at an expo center, there's no sense to this, it's not gonna be successful the way that we're currently doing it, with just barely paying a promoter, barely keeping the lights on, barely keeping the bills paid. Yeah, it's gonna need some major improvements if it's gonna be given a fair shot.
Andy, on the flip side of that, say we decide that we do want to go industrial. And of course, Wolfgang spoke about a course of action to market, promote the building. Will there be some funds that will need to be spent for that to happen as well?
There will need to be some funds. What has been discussed in the past, Brian, when we were negotiating with Easy Tech, he was gonna pay whatever needed to be paid. Now, what we also discussed with Miss Ivy the night that I addressed the Board of Zoning Appeals, and what's been discussed with Wolfgang, if someone of any significant size, when I say significant, I'm talking about 20 to 25 employees, comes in, there is money available to do those things. And as Ms. Ivy explained to us, there's more money available to promote job growth than there is to promote something like, let's just say recreational. You know, I did pinpoint her on that. It's easier for us to get money if we go to an industrial route, or not just industrial, take that out of the equation, job creating route, than it is for the what I'm gonna call the recreational route.
That's if we can get the grants also, though,
The grants for,
for revitalizing the expo center for industry.
well, in a way, a lot of this would work is if we got somebody on board that was gonna come into Westmoreland and bring 25 jobs, then there would be
Yeah,
different
that would bump us up.
money
higher on the
pockets
list.
somewhere.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be like a typical grant. where
It
you
wouldn't
just
be
go apply.
upfront tax dollars going into the project, in other words.
It'd be more money from the state that was promoting economic development in the rural communities. But they have to be able to provide at least, no, not 4 or 5 jobs won't do it, it'd be 20, 25. But what we were negotiating with Easy Tech was if any improvements need to be done to the building, he would have to pay for up front, and he knew that. And so anyone else would have to be in that same category. You know, from a purely economic standpoint, it's cheaper on us to just sit back and leave it alone and let Reese rent it 5 times a year, purely economics. But it needs to be able to benefit the city better than 5 times a year somehow.
Well, maybe after this meeting, next Wednesday, isn't it? Maybe we can get a clearer understanding, hopefully, of what the community as a whole is looking for, and that will help us make decisions as we go forward with the budget.
Certainly, and if the community is all for it, then by default, they shouldn't mind a tax increase.
Right.
So, you know,
You can't have one without,
Exactly.
you gotta understand that everything comes with a price.
yes, sir. And that's what, and I'm not giving you my opinion one way or the other on this, I'm just telling you what has to happen. If you want B, then you gotta do A. If you want an event center, if you want an expo, then we need funds from the city. It's not paying for itself.
Now, all I'm gonna speak to is about that tax increase. Now, I ran an election saying I wouldn't raise your taxes. And I'm not gonna raise your taxes, cause I'm not gonna vote for it. I can't do it. Hardly, I can't do it. It would put me in a situation to tell them the untruth, and I can't go there.
Well, I guess
You
we
see
can
what I'm
discuss the
saying?
tax increase at another meeting, but Brian, I just found it, 5 cents, 5 cent increase, $17,000, so your 10 cents would be 34. But 34 would again just get us to breaking even. We really need double that to make any sizable improvements.
Plus whatever else tax increase we would need to shore up revenue.
Yes.
But nobody wants to act hasty on this, and I've given Mr. Reese as best my word I can give him, knowing there's other people involved, that they would be kept abreast of the situation and know everything up front. And so, he knows everything. They're in the clear.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, I wouldn't either, so people can feel free to discuss with him, because there's nothing that we're doing that he doesn't know about. If we're done with the industrial board, I'll switch over to the parks and then leave you alone. I think our season has got about 2 or 3 more weeks. I would like to get with the remaining money to get some painting done at the other park. I think somebody talked to you about some painting over there as well.
It needs to be painted.
The concession stand needs to be painted. I'd rather hold off on the press box areas because I was sharing with the mayor there, that's just OSB. And there's no sense in painting that mess.
No.
It needs to be ripped off and replaced. But it'll hold up another year, okay. I'd like for us to be looking for some grants for some fields. We've got some money that'll go for a really sizable match. The other thing too is with the sewer system. I've heard about 3 different things in the last 2 years. One is build it bigger where it's at. One's moving across the holler. The other one's moving it across town. It'd really be good if we can get a time frame narrowed down on the sewer before we spend $100,000 over there at that property. If the sewer's gonna be relocated, then we can rearrange the fields a little bit and utilize that footprint where the sewer's actually sitting. And be able to get more bang for our buck. If the sewer's gonna stay there, it's okay. We'll just have to go to that design I presented to you all about 6-8 months ago. But is there any kind of time frame when we might have something squared away on the sewer?
We have to have a plan submitted to the state in just like the next couple of weeks. So we'll be waiting for a response from them at that point. I understand we are number 7 now on the priority list. So I think we're going to be moving on this.
If the sewer was to be moved, are we looking at this is gonna happen in the next year, or are we looking at this is gonna happen in the next 5 to 10 years?
I'm hoping to see it moved before I leave office.
So the next, well, and the reason I'm asking is because if it's gonna be moved in the next 4 years, we need to hold off on new fields.
Well, the mandate that we're under with the state dictates sooner than later. There'd be a whole lot bigger roadblocks if it wasn't, like he said, in the next 4 years that we're unaware of to be able to speak to that.
I understand, and I
Sooner than later is the better answer.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about
I mean, you got to go through the design phase
exactly,
and
you're
getting the
talking about
financing.
everything,
And
you're talking about months.
so,
Well, the advice we were given was make the right decision on the correct system, and that will be the lengthiest amount of time to decide.
So we may have an answer in 6 months. Maybe.
Don't know.
And so I don't want to keep pushing people out and saying, yeah, new fields are coming, yeah, new fields are coming. Everybody knows that we've got some money to build them with now. And I just need to be able to explain, hey, it's not my fault, it's the city's.
I could probably safely say that if it doesn't happen in the next 4 years, we'll know within a reasonable amount of time that that's not
That's
going
good.
to happen.
and if you need me to come to one of your board meetings and
No, they're
discuss
good.
it, I'll be happy
Everybody's
to.
good with it. I think if it's gonna take 5 years, I'm gonna say, let's go ahead and invest in the plan I've already submitted to you. Because everything we purchase for that, 80% of it will be able to reuse. We'll reuse the dirt, we'll reuse the lights, we'll reuse the bases. The only thing that's gonna be wasted is the concrete and the block.
And a lot of this, honestly, is going to be contingent on what happens with Expo Center. Because if the Expo Center was not in the picture, even at the current tax rate, we would have quite an excess of money to be putting into our park system.
Correct. Again, I'm gonna leave.
He's done with that.
I'll leave
Yeah,
personal
I mean,
opinion. I'm just gonna give
I'm
you.
not trying to put you in the middle here. I'm
I don't mind
I'm
giving
just
my
stating a
opinion.
fact.
I'll just give it in a different venue. Wait till I finish my reports. I'll go sit down and get back up again. But yeah, and it is getting to keep you aware. And I'll encourage every one of you to go visit the parks, to walk up the stairs. This one over here is starting to rot. The stairs, the press box, it's getting bad. The bathrooms are a huge improvement, but again, we can reuse the light fixtures, the toilets, everything there can be reused. It's just been done. So that wasn't necessarily wasted money. We may have to, scrap a little bit of wiring, but the fixtures are reusable. But it's getting to where it's needed to repair drastically. And again, I don't mind chipping in to share with the money, the load on that, but I'd like to do some major improvements, not just some cosmetic fixes.
New budget year's coming. We haven't nailed it down yet.
Well, if there are grants available, like I said, I don't mind helping. We just need to go after them and get them done. And I would like to get used the remaining money on the loan for some painting. Now, if there's anything else y'all see that needs to be done, that's okay too. I just don't want it to go to waste. With that being a loan, Ms. Fred, does that money run out in the fiscal year, or does that still stay there until we use it?
It would stay there. I'd have to put it in an accrual account to, where you just still use it, or a liability account.
So
But
I'm not,
if it's possible, it would be the best to go ahead and get it this year.
well, I don't mind, I just, with my work schedule right now, I'm swamped. And I don't really have time to oversee a bid letting and the whole 9 yards, like I did with the other one, the fixtures. But, I've asked a few guys to give me a price, but they're busy too. I mean, everybody's busy right now. So, what I'm saying is, we may have to put it out there and then wait a month and a half or 2 months so they can get to it. But if that suits y'all to spend some of that remaining money on some paint at the concession stand, I think that, and the reason why I say that building is because in all the plans that we're discussing, that building's probably gonna be there the longest. I would like to see it eventually tore down, but it'll get the longest wear and tear out of it.
Very good.
Questions for me?
Got a lot of hats, we appreciate it.
Yeah, I need to hang some of it.
Do you want to do somebody else's department report for them?
Just go ahead and let Adam go home.
Okay.
Thank you, Andy.
Okay, I don't think anyone is here from the fire department to represent, but yeah, they're all out. The request to sell the box trailer at the fire hall, it was a donation to the fire hall and fire department, and they have checked with the previous owner, and I think they didn't want it back, so they're asking to sell that, and would like to put that money back into the fire department budget. So,
Make a motion to allow them to sell the box trailer.
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to allow the fire department to sell the box trailer. Any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Freda, whenever you're ready.
Lee,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smallin,
Yes.
and Caleb.
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, let the record show that the motion passes unanimously. We also have a request from the fire department to purchase equipment shelving for the ladder truck. That money is in the, it's in the fund, so it is available, and I make a recommendation that we move on that.
Make a motion with that.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a proper second. Any other discussion?
This money, it's in their fire fund.
Yeah.
I thought when we set up the money to be done, that, because it was their fund, that they weren't, for stuff like this, they weren't gonna have to come to the council.
They have to come through the council.
No,
Have they not been?
they don't have to, but Mark the chief, fire chief
Okay.
prefers on a larger purchase that it would be approved through you all.
Okay.
But yes, you're correct. The fire fund, even though it's in the city's control now, they still have the authority on how they want to spend the money.
So-
I asked him the very same question.
So we
when
still
he
have that
wrote this up.
understanding on other
Yes,
expenditures?
yes.
Okay.
So it's
I
more of a
asked him-
courtesy vote.
Exactly. I asked him the same question when he handed me this, and he said that he,
Preferred it. Okay, I understand. As long as we're still in that same understanding and now that the new people know.
Okay. Any other discussion?
for the two, this fire fund is a separate account from the city's budget, even though it's in control with the city. It hasn't always been here. They used to have the account with them, and
These,
all the auditors just was really raising Cain that the city take control over it, and that finally happened. Did someone make a motion? I'm sorry.
I did.
Who seconded?
I second it.
Brian.
Brian said.
Okay, being this is a courtesy vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, like sign? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is my mileage for attending the required meetings. You will notice that there were several meetings that I attended, but I tried to hit in the same day, so there was no charge for those. I just happened to be driving by, so I stopped in. So it was brought to my attention that I should charge for those, but if I'm on the way or close by, I'm not going to worry about it. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't in the charter that it was a requirement, I would probably attend the meetings and not ever mention it. So, but
Motion to pay.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Klein,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smalling,
Yes.
Caleb,
Yes.
and Lee.
Yes.
5 yes.
Let the record show that the motion is carried unanimously. For the new folks that are on board, I generally try to present the mileage at the next work study. I actually try to, I do a map quest report and go the mileage on that. I try to include an agenda of what the meeting was about. And Freddie, I'm sure files all of that as part of a permanent record. So mostly the required meetings are the GNRC and the RTA. We have a Council of Governments meeting that is quarterly, and there's a couple that's quarterly. So I try to attend every one that I possibly can. We had several in February that was canceled because of weather, so got a break in February, so we didn't have to take any out of that line item. Okay. Kenny, would you like to come up and present the sewer plant operator report?
I have one diffuser fabricated and it's ready to install. Waiting for some bids to get one pulled and to install it. It's either gonna take a piece of equipment, cherry picker or somewhat, or some good stout people to try and pull the old ones. Caleb said that in a few weeks he might be able to get some help to pull an old one. He's a little bit larger than I am and younger. And we might be able to get that put in. And then we'll actually talk to Buddy's other engineer that was up. And he said we'd be able to tell right away if that diffuser is gonna help.
I don't think.
But
I don't know.
you would need to go ahead and do the rest of them as soon as possible. Especially if you was gonna get somebody with a piece of equipment up here, because you're gonna pay for relocation every time that you're gonna put one in. So they might as well do them all at once. If we have the money, we don't, we'll just do it as we can, how we can do it.
How much did that one cost? I know you told
Approximately
us.
the material in it, I've got about $350 in it.
How soon can you build some more?
Just as soon as you allow me to build them, that took me about half a day to assemble.
And what the plan was that we were going to build one and try it, see how it worked before we,
But now that we have to pay for somebody to come install them,
yeah,
might be
That's
yeah,
the,
they kind of changes the plan.
that's the big.
how many did you say you had to build? I know we've had this conversation.
I think 5 more.
I guess we need to try to get them built and then have somebody put them in. They need to be done.
Yeah, but here in just a second. I'll get along to that part and just let y'all make your decisions. We had some signs that needed to be ordered. They're here and ready to put up at the outfall. Two-sided signs. We're gonna need some help because we're about to go across the creek, go over the railroad dyke, and go over and try to drive a stop sign post or something in, and it being beside the creek, it's gonna be rock, I'm sure, so we'll
Need a sledgehammer.
need some muscle with that.
Are you gonna work this weekend?
Actually, it is my weekend and holiday. I ain't had a holiday off in 6 months, so we ain't got one that we trained in yet. So
Give me a yell.
I will. Tim Farty and I are in the process of, this, safety rails, trying to get them secured. It is dangerous. We want them done right. So that's the reason I included Tim, because he is codes
Yeah.
enforcement. And, I was gonna try to do it, and Tim said, well, basically, let's get a second party involved, such as him, maybe somebody else, because if I do it, and I chain off to it, and I fall in,
Ain't no way out.
now there ain't no way out, and then somebody can say, I didn't do it right.
Well, at least you could sue yourself.
I could see myself, yes.
No, I've been up there. You're right. Those are a little shaky right now.
Well, I don't know if I showed you, but there's two of us, just a false sense of security.
Yeah.
And I went ahead and just pulled it loose, that way nobody would grab a hold of it. Because if you grab a hold of it, you're grabbing hold of nothing but air. It's gonna fall. And it's on the newer tank.
Yeah.
Caleb has been working on removing the old generator. Okay, bad news. Plant was hit last week. It happens anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year. I don't know if it's due to the weather change or what, but I did the best with what I had. You have to measure oxygen levels, divert flows. The old tank doesn't have enough oxygen in it, so naturally it died first, so I diverted flows. And you look at it like a fish aquarium.
Yeah.
And that bubbler keeps the fish alive. And without that oxygen, the fish can't live. Well, that's the same with my bacteria. Something come in, hit hard, and you do not know it until it starts looking bad, or it's a 5-day test you pull later, which is called a BOD, a biochemical oxygen demand test. And I knew then that I had something high in oxygen demanding that hit the plant. But I knew before that when it started looking bad, so I started measuring my levels of oxygen and diverting flows, trying to save at least one tank. The larger tank was somewhat saved. However, we probably did violate 2 days this week, nothing last week, of only one parameter out of the 8 to 10 or 12 that we have, and that's the ammonia.
And you were saying with these diffusers anyways, right now it's just bubbling up, which is not giving all that bacteria enough oxygen. And with
Right.
having the rake portion of these diffusers actually acts like a bubbler to aquarium, like you said, and puts small, tiny bubbles throughout a whole, what is it, a bladder or whatnot?
Why not, yeah.
And that's over at the bottom of each one of those rakes. So instead of giving big bubbles like we have now at the sewer plant, they're tiny little bubbles dispersed through the whole thing, all 4 tines of the rake.
It's the oxygen transfer where everything can get it, where right now they're all rotten and it's just going up in one big bubble. And what happens to the oxygen?
Goes out the top.
Goes out there. So I did test the oxygen level in the older tank and was a little confused, and then I thought, well, I had oxygen in it, but that's because there was nothing taking up the oxygen. The bacteria was gone. So you shut the flow off of that, you go to your other one, and you slowly start trying to get the older tank back going and do the best you can do with the valving that we have with this old plant. It's hard to adjust the flows a third here to 2/3 here, because you just got a valve like this. You don't have the new kind of valves that and you don't have any flow rates, you don't know what your flow rates are going to each tank. You just have to guess and measure the oxygen level and just do the best you can. That's all I have. Any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints?
You had Thomas very much?
I don't think they don't have enough help out
Well-
there, about half a day a week on Wednesdays or something like that, sometimes a day a week.
Well, the reason I'm asking, you understand why we didn't hire him any help tonight? So you
Yeah,
could help Thomas, okay.
I'll do what I can, and then, you know, if we have to do a little more contract labor, do something and not go over the budget, we might do that. I'll talk to the mayor, try to get some of this stuff done, so. Cause, you know, all Larry is doing is hauling sludge. He's done his work on those tanks, and I see
Okay.
why now that I'm up there. It's not a real fun job, and it's pretty tough.
Just so you understood why we didn't hire anybody for it.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, we had no money.
Okay.
It's just it. We have to do the best we do with what we got and go from there.
How do you get your bacteria back?
Well, it just takes time from the years I've spent. I could go spend a few $1,000s and try to, and buy some and put in there. But as long as the state isn't putting us and fining us, and I can keep it under control like I am, it takes a couple of 2 to 3 weeks to get everything. I think next week I'll be back in the limits.
Okay.
So you don't want to go by bacteria. One thing I have done in the past is from one tank to the other, the one that's got the better bacteria is get a pump from Adam and them, and we'll carry it up there and pump it from one tank to the other to revitalize. That's about it. And like I said, Buddy had an engineer associate with him from Montgomery come up just a few days after it happened, and he said, "Kenny, you're doing the best with what you've got here." And just we don't know what causes it from the whatever's hitting us. Sometimes it is just to change the weather. The bacteria don't know whether to put on short sleeve or long sleeve or.
Neither do we.
Yeah, you know, if it gets cold, they might just dive down into the sludge and say, "I'm not gonna work today because it's too cold." You know, it's just the way I can explain it in layman's terms.
Do you believe that, is it Schedule 40, Schedule 80?
Schedule 80,
Do you think that will hold up?
that's the biggest question right now. I am a little concerned about the threads that's gonna go into the union, and if it shakes very much, so what? And I discussed it with the engineer that was down there. Tie somewhat of a weight to the bottom of it in the middle, such as some bricks or something to weight it down to keep it from moving. If it was in the digester part where it wasn't all the way full, it wouldn't because they do this. But these aeration basins are only that far from the top. So there is an all thread there that I may get some more opinions on, and we may try to go with a brass or some kind of fitting there instead of the Schedule 80.
Let me throw this out for thought. If you're gonna have to replace how many diffusers, or we need to replace 5, or did you say 6?
I think there's at least 6 of them.
Like 6. We don't have to pay someone to come up here 6 times, but on the other hand, does it make sense to tell him, okay, go ahead and make all 6 diffusers if we don't know for sure if the first one's gonna work or not?
Right, so that's what we're doing right now.
So-
Once I can get this one installed,
Yeah,
then I can measure my oxygen level at that certain point, and if it helps dramatically, then we know it's gonna help throughout the basin, and then we'll know that, you know, it will.
I started to say if we had to have someone come once and help put in the first one to test, and then build all the rest of them and only get them to come back a second time instead of build one, put it in, build one, put it in, and having to have
No,
somebody come back
We'd
6
build
times.
the first one, then we'd build the other 5, so.
Yeah,
Right.
You said that we could be looking at $1,500 for having somebody come in, put that one that you've already built in, and that's with the cost of that one.
Yeah, I'd estimate that because the people that comes up like that is not cheap. The guy that was with a local contractor, that was gonna help, he was with Ward, he took another job, and they built him out by himself at $91 an hour. He was out of Nashville now. So, and then he would have to have at least a helper or two. I don't know what they build them at. Bouchard and Sons is about $60 to $70 an hour per person.
Travel time.
Yeah, you got travel time from there and back.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Little's coming up
He'll be up this next week.
next week. I'm gonna try to get a quote from him, because they do have some kind of blue truck or something up here. I don't know if it's reached out. Years ago, I had tied myself off and 2 other people, we actually pulled them up. And if you try to do it there, as they going, they'll come there floating up. If you turn it off, it'll backfill with the sludge, and it'll be heavier. But I don't feel real comfortable tying myself off to one of those, and if it falls in, ain't nobody gonna jump in to help you, because there's either
you got
2 or 3 of us
So,
died.
so what happens if we go ahead and construct all 6 of these and do it? What is the possible, what's the worst case scenario? They all break and nothing works?
That's right, let's just try this one.
Okay. I'm thinking at the cost, I'm game for trying them, and when we
Let's
have
try
somebody
this one
come.
for a little while, and let me see what I can do during these events that I'm having. Like I said, 90% of the time, I can make those limits. I can make that plant, meet those limits. But there's that 10% of the time, there's nothing I can do. I mean, when something comes in there and hits it like it did, there's nothing I can do, so, unless we start getting fined heavily or something, then.
Well, we're walking a thin line, so.
I know we are, we
So-
are.
Well, I appreciate all your help on it. I'm sitting here trying to come up with ways to fill that pipe full of concrete or, make it snow, make it sturdy.
Yeah, I'm open to any suggestions that anybody's got. This is just one that I'd seen in a plant. I'd operated in Gordonsville. It did have Schedule 80, but it did have some kind of a U-bracket up top to keep it from moving. And y'all may be able to help me out on that part. I designed it and constructed it just like it, but I do remember some kind of U thing that it went down in,
And held it in place.
and it would help hold it.
Some kind of a collar and a support mechanism.
And keep it from moving as much.
what's that made from?
Well, it was actually made out of Schedule 82.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. The kind of bubbles that we're getting in that old tank, it's really rolling. Where it won't be once you get all of them in, because it'll be fine air and you'll see little bubbles coming up instead of the big roll. But, that's something that we need to look at again. It's ready to be put in, just a little more ciphering on it to see what it does to hold down. The book I read on it said that, just tying a center block to the bottom of it would keep it steady.
You can go down to tee off, Kenny, you just go straight down to tee off.
Mm-hmm.
You think at the end of it, you could put tees on each end of that, and just put, like maybe 3 foot out the front and back, just cap them off, just as legs to keep it from moving any, like I don't know where your diffusers are.
Mm-hmm.
If you put tees right there, and just run you 2 or 3, like 3 foot long on each side, and you have legs, just put caps on those.
Hey, you got time tomorrow.
Check it out. That might keep it from rocking this way.
Right. Anything to keep that from rocking, and I'm not Schedule 80 all through it, or, I'm not really liking that part.
Set up at the top.
Mhm. it's up at the top, we can go and get to everything, we maybe it, and y'all order the grass.
Do it together, I'll spend $1 million.
Get to it tomorrow, I'd feel better if all this was something. Alright, thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have, yeah.
Any questions from the council? Thank you for your hard work.
I'm afraid to ask any anymore.
You might get more you want.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Ken.
Thank y'all.
Okay, Adam, would you like to come back up again?
Finally got the price on the pump today from Jimmy Little. Y'all ain't gonna see it. It's way worse than the other ones. I don't think I made enough copies, I don't think.
Wow.
Oh, Lord.
It's a whole lot more gallon per minute than the other ones that we've had to put in. And they don't even make, you know how we went to the ones without the belt drive? They don't even make these that size without the belt drive. The C-Pex don't. The only other brand I know we might try would be Mono, but they're out of, I think, Germany. And they talk about the ship, it's just ridiculous. I'm just
yeah.
getting them here.
Refresh my memory, where was this one?
Station 1.
Station 1 down on Austin T.
Yeah. And it's been down for a month and a half probably, without just running on one pump.
Hadn't had no problems out in that area?
Yeah, about every day. We had something on Station 2 has been giving us a fit too, but it's not, we can handle it. Station 1 is giving trouble, and we've got people wanting to add another set of duplexes on Sumner Drive.
This will come out of our sewer reserve.
Martin Smith's wanting to add some places on Law Street, and that's the station that's bad. And everybody's wanting to add them to that side of town for some reason.
We have to have this, and I remember us looking at the budget, and this will deplete our sewer reserve, is that correct?
For this present year, fiscal year,
We should open
Close
one.
to it, right?
we don't have enough in reserve.
That's what I thought. So we'll have to amend the budget if we make this purchase, correct? But we have to have it.
Yeah, if the state finds that you ain't got it right now, you're probably in trouble.
No, they just found out. They just found out.
We got about 18 and a half left in the reserve. But if you look on purchase pumps, where you all have authorized another pump, we're over in that line item as well. Very last line item in your budget under sewer.
We get 16,000 and the
Nine.
last pump was 20 something.
You got that right.
And I could get some prices too from like Bouchard and Son, and the reason I haven't done that yet is because Jimmy always, and he's nice about this, he gets us all the gallon per minute, he gets us all the figures and goes through CPEX, well then I can just hand that to Bouchard and they'll give me an estimate. Really, you know, if I was Jimmy, I probably wouldn't do it because, you know, he's having to go through all the leg work, but again, Bouchard's gonna be $10,000-$15,000 higher than Jimmy is. They always are.
Well, and then that last one, they wouldn't even do the install, right?
Right, they wouldn't buy the pump.
That's it.
Yeah, they wanted us to order the pump and everything, and then them just come and stick it in. And they were still, I think, about $8,000 higher.
Yeah, they were still higher even
Yeah,
there.
a lot higher.
Well, I got a question for the mayor. We purchased this in this year's budget. Of course, we have to amend the budget to reflect the purchase because there's no money in the fund. Will the amount of overage be considered as a loss for this year to be made up in the next year's budget?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Why don't we wait till we can get that other bid? If you can get that other bid, that's,
Do you think you can get the other bid?
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna say they're gonna make us buy the same deal. They probably want us to buy the pump and get it here, and then them just stick it in. But I can call them tomorrow.
Same way they done the other time.
Yeah.
Okay.
In your repair and, maintenance line items, 262 through 267, you got about $35,000 left this fiscal year, but you got 2 more months to take from that. There could be a little funds there, plus your reserve.
Jimmy is also working on the exhaust fans for one or two of the stations where the exhaust fan that work, that station down there, I bet it's 125, 30 degrees in there every day. Yeah, you go down right now, it's probably that hot.
Down here?
Yep. We've been leaving the doors open in the daytime, putting fans, just trying to get it to cool down. It's not, I mean, it's hot. It's
Are the pumps just putting off that much heat?
Yeah, they're running that much. See, there's no rest time on those pumps. Well, they should be cutting off and staying off 2 or 3 minutes before they cut back on. As soon as they cut off, they're coming back on because we're just overloaded. I mean, the station's just overloaded. They can't keep up. That guy from Airback come, that's what he said. He said, you're just wasting your time. Really, he said, because you're just too small for what's put onto it. He said, never should have had this much added onto it. I found a thing in Chris's office when John Pullen was supervising. He had him come down and do a kind of a survey, same kind of deal. It said in there, and that was in 07, I think, was that right when John was?
Yeah.
It was in 07, and it said then that it was extremely, I got the paper where it said extremely overworked at that, in 07, and I know we've added, a bunch of pits at 07. That station just ain't gonna hold up much longer, I don't think. The motor starter, where it gets so hot, it kicks the motor starters out, then the pumps kick out, and then we have to go down there, and it calls in about once every 2 or 3 nights, the motor starters will be kicked out, we gotta go back down there and get the motor starters kicked back on. Maybe the exhaust fan will help, I don't really think it's going to, but maybe it will. I mean, it'll help a little, it's gotta help some.
I got a-
Sewage cost goes out, then you have a chance of flooding your vacuum.
Right,
too, right?
yeah, if it comes a big rain or something, we only have one pump pumping it out, and 3 pumps bringing it in, then we're gonna flood the vacuum pumps.
That's another point.
That's another 20,000, 24,000, yeah.
It's gonna be my recommendation to the council that you go ahead and, get this thing ordered.
If you do it right now, it's still gonna take 5 or 6 weeks to get it here. And we're still looking at another 5 or 6 weeks before we get it.
Okay, hang on a second.
And the funds wouldn't come out of this fiscal year then.
We could purchase it, what about, well, would we have to pay for it now?
Maybe we could pay for the pump.
And then pay for the
Jimmy
install?
Out of next budget.
Pay the install out of next budget, and that would break it up some. So we did the same thing with the, down here in the park, we purchased the pipe out of 1 year, at the end of 1 year, and then we did the installation the following year, and we had the money there to do it.
Yeah.
We had to sort of take some from each budget.
It'll be after next.
You want us
the
to
next
vote on
year
something?
report. Jimmy gets to put it in, I'm sure. Like I said, it takes about 6 weeks to get them.
Yes, rules say we got it, well, we know the other company is always a lot higher.
Yeah, I started to say,
We know.
history has told us,
I don't know what the ramifications are of not getting the second quote, but there's just not many people that do this.
Yeah, there's not.
John Bouchard is much higher than this L&T from the past years.
I make a motion, we purchase the pump from L&T and out of this year's budget.
We have to amend the agenda to do that,
It's
Under
or
this,
is it okay to do that under this? I mean,
Caleb, just a
Second.
just the purchase the pump at $30,975 under this year's budget.
Yes.
I don't know what's been the deal this year with sewage pumps. It's eaten them up this year. I don't know if I was there all low. I mean, it was just getting just bad. I wouldn't do it the same year, but they were all low. Them right there were put in there in 99, I think. So it's amazing that they've lasted that long. That's what Jimmy said when he came with. He said, I can't believe that you get that kind of time out of them as much as they have to run it. So we've been lucky, I guess.
On that temperature range too.
Yeah, it's been really unlucky this year.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Freda, whenever you're ready.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smalling,
Yes.
Caleb,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
and Klein.
Yes.
5 yes.
Let the record show the purchase of the pump is unanimous. Get that ordered.
Okay, I'll call the motion. I'll ask y'all's opinion on this. Do y'all wanna put a, water drinking fountain back at the ballpark, at the bathroom down here? We got it plumbed out for one and everything, but it's about $530, I think is what it was.
Never could
Last
keep
one they
tore
stole,
up
the kids stole it,
everything.
you know, we've got it plumbed out there for it, but that won't be a big deal. We can,
I think most people that come to use the walking track bring their own
They're gonna have
water.
their own,
They're
yeah.
gonna have a bottle of water in their car or
Yeah.
with them, or, so I say no.
I think it would probably be a waste of $500.
That looks
I think
good,
somebody's gonna
but
do it.
it's a problem.
What's
It's
that?
just something there to
Oh,
tear
yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I know how it's plumbed out. You got a decent way of covering it up where
Well, yeah,
it
we'll
doesn't,
hope so.
where that's not damageable and they can just pull it open
Yeah,
and turn the
we'll
water
come up
on.
with something. I'll have to, it's gonna be a little more aggravating, so we have to wall back in there, we'll come up with something. It won't be no big.
As long as it's not easy for them to pop open and turn the water on.
Yeah. Other than that, I think that's about, we fixed about 5 leaks this week. We read meters last week and found some leaks. We've been doing that all week. We fixed one at the sewer plant.
Yeah, I was gonna tell Freddie that, she's been worried about that one.
Well, thank you.
Sorry, but that was the leak, it was, about 4,000 gallons a month.
And they fixed it?
Yeah, they came down and, Weaver pinpointed it was right where it entered the building, where it connects, where if you build a building, the plumbing is dug out, and then the outside, the person will come in and tie to it, right there where they tied together.
He got tired of me asking him every week.
I
We
saw,
had to cut the concrete, cut the asphalt, but we'll fix it all back. We'll get the time, we've got rock back in right now, we'll get it all.
saw the percentage down to 27%. That's,
Yep. I hope it stays there. It's looking good. The pumpage has been good all week. It's looking good. I hope it stays there.
everything we can do to keep the state happy. is-
Right. I would
Yeah.
definitely look at tap fees, raising tap fees and stuff like that to help out on that too.
Gallatin's gonna be raising it 4%
Yeah.
Yeah.
in July, so
Yeah.
I believe that's when it is, July.
That's about all I've got, I do believe.
did you ever look at this up here, where that downspout is, back behind City Hall?
I did about 6 months ago and forgot about it. Yep.
Well, the brick's busted now.
I think you said something about it one time, about the downspout being off.
Yeah, that brick's busted way now.
Yeah. Where at, on the back corner back there?
Yeah, back there in the back corner, I've noticed where that dark spot is, the bricks are done
They're
deteriorating
falling off
away.
on the City Hall too, right there by the door, that corner, those bricks falling off right there too.
It's
Yeah.
back there.
Cleanup day work out economically.
Yeah.
We
That's
did
good. We
buy
filled up
today.
2 dumpsters completely full. We were covered up the first about 3 hours. It kind of slowed down a little bit after about.
I feel one of them up
10:30.
by myself.
But yeah, it worked out.
I know
Worked
that
out
we're
good.
worried about the cost, as long as it worked out.
We got a pretty good pile of scrap metal out of it too. We've
I'm
already
glad,
had
I'm
some-
glad you mentioned that, because that had slipped my mind. I want to put it on the agenda for next month, but, or next month for our next call meeting. I want to make a recommendation that scrap metal out there, we let them sell that, and we, let them go buy dinner with it, or split it as a little bonus for them. We don't do a lot for our guys out there, and that's something we can do to help them out. They go have them a nice dinner one day, if it's enough to even buy a good dinner.
Yeah, I think scrap metal's down right now, but maybe it'll be up by then or something.
Like I said,
You can have them
it's
all.
not taking up a lot of space
We-
right
we
now,
some.
so.
We like to eat.
Oh.
We can deal with that.
Yeah.
Bolton, how's things coming with them? I've got several calls over in the Border Street area, over around there, from the Kennedys, where we're having cars bottoming out where they've sunk in.
They've done a lot of paving, last week. I don't know that, I don't know if they've got that spot or not, but because they're gonna have to do some, a little bit more tying up down that way, so they may not have done. I know Moreland Street, there's one there they've got to do.
More thrown one of the rocks and busted a window out, so,
Yeah.
yeah, ask them if they would, if they'd look at that for us.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I know you've been after them a lot, so
Yeah,
I just appreciate all you've done to help coordinate that.
That's part of the job.
You know, it's a tough job, so.
Yeah. That's, I've got, I'll talk to them about that tomorrow. Well, I'm actually off tomorrow, took off tomorrow, not Monday, Tuesday. I'll still try to call them tomorrow if I think about it. Still, if I don't, I'll forget about it.
Appreciate it.
Take care of it. All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Let me see, I don't see Tim. Oh. Are you representing the police department, or are you just here as an individual tonight?
I'm here, but I can represent.
I got a question. Benny has not been to a work study or a council meeting since we appointed him police chief.
He came to the one and presented the awards, and
The night we hired him, correct?
you're actually right. I was just thinking about that very
That
thing.
is a requirement of his job. We need to talk to him about that.
That will happen.
There you are.
Go right ahead.
The chief has not mentioned nothing to me to bring up to the police department. Everything is running as the same. We're trying to patrol as hard as we can. We're trying to fight as hard as we can. Trying to get some drugs out of the city, and we're getting a lot of good cooperation with the other agencies, and we're trying to work together, and it seems to be working out pretty good.
Good deal. The new hires working out real well, and
They are.
we've got one.
Sir, we've Officer Brown is going to leave for the academy this Sunday. He's all geared up and ready to go. We got he's going for his orientation, so he knows what to expect. He'll be leaving Sunday. He will complete the academy within 10 weeks. And then Officer Langston has completed his physical, and he's going to have to complete his psychological. That's scheduled, and then he will go to take his, go for his transition school down at the academy, which is required.
Do y'all have the schedules covered? Obviously you do, with these two officers being out at the same time.
Yes, sir. It's only a little tight, but we're going to have to utilize some of our part-time.
Because the overtime budget's very small at this point.
It's gonna get smaller.
I know. Everything's done on renovations except for the painting.
Let's see, the dispatch, the sail part has been replaced. The back part, for the, I guess it would be the holding part, the chief's office has been, and that's all the sail that's been done so far.
Okay.
Is that pair of cuffs still back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Y'all do plan on doing something about that, right?
I'll bring you a Dremel.
We appreciate you stepping up for the chief. Is he sick, or any idea?
I don't know, sir.
Forget about the meeting, or what? Okay. Thank you very much for filling in on short
Y'all doing a
notice.
good job, Ray. I'm getting a lot of good comments about y'all guys. I think y'all doing a great job. I can say they can go to sleep in bed. I can. I couldn't before, but I can now. I can go to sleep. I'm okay.
And And it's another thing with the police department, I've noticed a lot of you guys stepping up and doing a lot of things around the city are by far not required.
Yep.
Officer Langston stopped by the lake last week and helped bring a Bethpage Trail Life group out there to help build the bridge at the lake, which still needs a little bit more work done, but I mean, you guys are doing awesome, all of you, so, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Freda?
Just got a couple of things. We got the approval this week from the General Assembly on our charter change. So, the next meeting, we will have a resolution to ratify and approve this charter change. That has to go back into them before December 1st in order for it to be fully effective. And I know we're getting a lot of use in this particular room now, but when I came in a while ago, the thermostat was set down on 68. I mean, it's okay if they lower it when they're using it, but the ones that are using it, if they will raise it back up when they leave, because there's no need for the air to be on at 68 degrees during the week when nobody's in
No.
here. So if y'all could, I don't know when anybody's in here,
Okay.
hardly anymore, so if y'all can remember the people that you all tell that can come in, just to tell them if they change the thermostat to raise it back up.
Okay. If I need to, I'll start stopping by every day and just double
Well, I
checking
used to
it.
walk over here, then I put a sign on the thermostat, you know, if you change it, when you leave, make sure you put it back where you found it. Or else we'll have to start locking it out
Yep.
and adjust it accordingly. Other than, I've got each of you, 2 copies of the budget. The recommendation from Mr. Poole, the auditor, on how we are to handle the depreciation. And he did some changing on how we were accounting for our bond payments. We only have to account in the budget for the interest that we pay. The principal, you have to pay it every month, but it hits an accrual account and it doesn't hit the expenditure items, because in the audit, he showed me where he was backing that back out to begin with. So he says, why do you count it against you during the month when I'm gonna back it out at year end? He says, utilize that extra money in your budget by not accruing for it. I've got one with this, with both of them has got the depreciation calculation in it. I put his email in there showing you his recommendation. One of the budgets has got without a salary increase for the employees, and the other one has got it with the salary increase. Both of the budgets has got, Adam with Public Works had presented a pay scale to the mayor. And both of those budgets, I used his recommendation on the pay scale in both of those. So basically, the only salary increase you're talking about is a few people at the police department, your full-time dispatchers, Tim and Benny. Well, not Benny, because he just has gotten his 40,000. And the full-time officers. Of course, part-time people do not get the pay increase. Like I said, Public Works is set in the pay scale, and then the 3 employees at City Hall. So basically, I think you're talking about maybe $5,000 or less dollars in all the funds on the salary, and to get a 2% salary increase, yes. And that's considering sanitation, general fund, and water and sewer. So,
And how much are we still off on the amount for water and sewer?
118,000.
So,
But But
We-
in Mr. Poole's recommendation, he recommended not to change the revenues. So we'll just leave it as unbalanced for the water and sewer, which it can be.
Now, how does that go, with, I was just getting ready to tell them, also, if there's anyone that would like to look at the pay scale that the utility folks have presented. We received word from Ms. Welborn today that she had accepted my plan, and I have a copy of that here somewhere. I need to get copies of all of it. I've got one printed. I don't know which folder I have it in. But basically, the plan that we have, I will get it to you. You can look over it, and I have a budget basically prepared based on that plan that I will get everyone a copy for. You can compare all three of those, and we'll get together and discuss the budget. So we just need to pick a day now when we can all have time to sit down for a couple hours.
If you have a special call meeting to do your budget study, I'd also like to include that resolution to ratify and approve the charter change.
We'll just do that at the next regular meeting.
At just a
Yeah,
regular
we're just
meeting?
gonna concentrate on budget. We'll pick it
No, I'm
up.
talking about if you have a special call meeting at the work study to pass the budget on first reading.
Okay, we'll still just do it on the regular meeting. There's no need to jumble anything up. I just want to concentrate on budget more than anything.
And we did say that our next work study would be a special call meeting for the budget.
That is correct. So do you want to get together prior to then to discuss it, make additions to it, deletions? It really needs to be after the 27th, because if you're going to make a decision to include the Industrial Development Board Expo Center in it, there is no money in any of these presentations that reflect any of that. So,
Well, I can tell you, I am got something going on every night next week. So next week any night wouldn't be good for me. But I mean, the following week.
be kind of,
The 4th is gonna be the work study, the 1st is IDB meeting, so it'd have to be either 2nd or 3rd unless, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd.
if you want to get together any of those times, I'm open to it. If you want to do it as a council, if you can make it.
Have a calendar.
The first is a Thursday. Get me a copy of that.
1st is a Monday. It's also the IDB meeting at 6 o'clock.
When is that?
The first.
1st is Monday.
In June.
Yeah, June 1st.
While they're looking at the dates, I would just want to mention a couple of things and recognize some people. Are you finished? Okay. Want to recognize Roger for the work that he's done on the celebration. I haven't heard any final numbers of how many people attended, but it was pretty steady for 2 days. Brought a lot of recognition to Westmoreland. We had folks that come from as far away as Atlanta, Georgia. So we're very, very pleased with that, and hope the numbers all work out when you do your final tallies. But that was good. And I want to recognize Chris Vinson. he has organized the Westmoreland Council of the Arts, and you'll be hearing a lot more about that in the future, and it's going to be a wonderful thing for us, Chris, and appreciate all your hard work on that. And no less than Tap Out, he's working on our parks and doing a great job helping us out, doing some volunteer labor, and he's I understand he's gainfully employed, so he doesn't have as much time to put forth as he did, but we'll get together and get it all knocked out. So, our public works guys, they're going hard at it, and appreciate y'all too. Pretty you and your staff, and all of the folks that are still here that ran for the council seat, that expressed an interest. There will be an election in just a few short months, so plan early, and appreciate all your help, and just the fact that you're willing to step forth and help your city. And council members, I appreciate all of y'all, and the new guys, welcome, and looking forward to trying to get some of these problems solved, and looking forward to your communication with the citizens to help guide us on the road that they want us to go down, not necessarily what we want to go down, but what they're wanting. So, and thank all of you for attending tonight. But with that said,
What about this?
I'll ask
What about the
for a
meeting?
date.
What about the meeting?
That's what we're talking about.
What about a date?
What about a date?
You said the Monday night, June the 1st was IDB.
Yeah.
And ain't you our representative, the IDB representative, so you'll have, or is it you, Brian? Which one of y'all is on the IDB?
They don't have to.
None of us, we're not allowed to be on it.
We're not allowed to be on
Okay,
that.
I
No,
was thinking there was something,
we on something
I'm
else. We
thinking
on
of something else.
zoning
Okay.
board.
Zoning board, okay.
All of us have been going, so.
Zoning board and zoning board of appeals.
How about the
It's a different world
second?
there.
Tuesday the 2nd.
Second's fine. There's a nutrients meeting in Murfreesboro about the sewer plant, but I need to be here, so we need to get this done before work study.
Yeah.
So,
Second.
second, sound
Second's
good?
good, me, anytime.
Okay, if you'd post for June the 2nd, you want to do it at 6 to give us plenty of time? Can you make it by 6?
Yeah, I
Is
can
that
make it.
okay for everybody?
Yeah, I'll get on. I won't bring it down as long as they
Or
can
will
feed.
that messing everybody up, changing the time?
Give us more time.
Did you see them ducks?
Special call meeting to
Ducks and all.
discuss
Oh,
the
yeah,
budget.
too. Yeah.
We won't be voting on it, but we will be discussing it, so we'll post some notices on that on Tuesday, June the 2nd at 6:00 p.m. here in the council chambers. Anything else that I failed to ask about?
I got one question to make sure I understand. Okay, now, Frida just gave us new budgets that does have the depreciation calculated in it.
The depreciation that the auditor asked
Right.
for.
But you're fixing to give us new budgets with the recommendations from the state on the water.
It's actually what I put together and presented to the
And-
state,
and
and we
was
just
approved.
heard from them today. And it is contingent and conditional on the fact that the council does vote and ratify it. If the council does not vote to ratify it, then we're all going to Nashville on June the 9th, I believe was the date.
My birthday, man, we gonna go on that day.
July.
July 9th, excuse me. At their next meeting.
So do we need to really start looking at these budgets as far as most everything except for water department, should be okay? That's the only changes. Okay.
The general fund and the streets and sanitation is pretty cut and dry, other than the salary increases that we were talking about.
Yeah.
But the water and sewer is what we really got to focus on. And I think, Mayor, when we were working that one night over in the office, some of your plan is already incorporated in the numbers that you come up with on some of the line items, isn't that correct?
I think the depreciation was the only thing that's really not jiving.
The numbers I think that's in those budgets you have there, David,
new ones
goes
that you-
along with what he recommended.
Oh, okay,
Is
okay.
that, am I saying that right, Jerry?
Well, what I was looking at in our plan was to come up with a total of 1.496 million. And the budget we have now, I think, actually comes out at about 1.5. Is it? Everybody got it open there with,
Talking about total revenue.
yeah, for water and sewer. But some of the things that we're gonna be looking at will be increasing the current residential tap fees from $800 to $1,500. Commercial fees from 1,000 to 2,000. Industrial from 1,500 to 2,000, all of these inside the city. The fees outside the city will, residential will go from 2,000 to 2,500. Commercial, 2,500 to 3,000, and we don't have any industrial outside of the city. And the current residential sewer tap fees for the city are $600, and we're looking at making those $1,200. Commercial is 800 to 1,500, and industrial 1,000 to 1,500. So we will be looking at a lot of water rate structure, and we according to Ms. Welborn, we need to come up with over the next 3 years 28%, which comes to $367,000. Another point in the plan, Adam, is that we will begin changing out 20 meters per month to get. She said that night our meters were our cash registers. And you said you could change those out pretty quick, so I put it in the plan to start with 20 per month. And I don't know how many work orders that you currently get on that, but I thought that was a pretty good place to start with how many hundred meters that we have now.
About 1,520.
Yeah.
We change out probably on average 8 to 10 a month, probably something like that.
Okay, so
Anything over 1 million gallons. And I think what she was worried about was like maybe Brookfield and Oakwood, places where you're not gonna get to 1 million gallons for a long time, you know, because they're elderly people that might not use but 800 to 1,000 gallons a month. So maybe the meters are wearing out before they're getting to the 1 million gallons just because of the time. Is I think what she was kind of worried about. Because I mean, otherwise, you know, 1 million gallons sounds like a lot, but that's about what everybody does. About 1 million gallons when they change that, you know, change a meter out. So kind of all right on that, but we might want to look at some more, maybe toward Brookfield and stuff.
okay, and is also put in the plan about the telemetry system and the isolation meters.
Yeah.
So I will get copies of these for everybody, and I think it's going to pretty much be it. And
Did you just state that inside residential was 600 on the water tap, and you were gonna raise it to 800?
no, 800 to 1,500.
Yeah, I thought you said 600, because it's
that-
800 now.
I think it was the sewer. That
Oh,
was
the sewer tap,
fee.
okay.
Of course, there won't be many of those because we're hitting that point. So I guess I need to figure out how to have an official discussion with planning and zoning and codes, and find out what areas of our city so we can be notifying our citizens that they're in an area that is very much compromised right now. So, especially with the pump down. So, but the state has the authority to come in and put a moratorium on the entire city. So, they've been very gracious in working with us, and we hope that we can continue on the path that we are. But thanks to Phil, Phil has been doing a lot of behind-the-scenes work to help and assist Westmoreland. We were not on the priority list, and Phil made a couple of calls to make folks aware of the situation with our 303D.
Yeah, your receiving stream is not listed as impaired on the state's, on the SRF list, which it was in the water pollution list, so once they made that correction, it moved y'all up.
Looking forward to doing a lot of work with Phil in the future. He's been a very good advisor for us, and I think he and Buddy have maybe done some collaboration, and it's been great for the city. So the city owes you gratitude. I can't get it out here, so we appreciate it. So that's all I have tonight. If we're going to meet on that night, and I'll get these budgets. Actually, I tried to print some of this out in my printer at home. It took 20 minutes just to print one copy, so we can get that done. So I'll get it to Miss Frida, and she can get it all printed. And also, we have the agreement letter for Tri-County, and they've already started putting in some of the LED lights for ones that were out. And the expected savings for us is even going to be more than the 20,000 that we predicted, because they found some variances in some of the lights, so we're actually going to be better than we thought. So
I'll need a copy of that agreement from Tri-County in the file also.
all of that's yours.
Okay. I'm following him over there.
So I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion. Adjourn.
Second.
Good night, everyone.